The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour.
ChatGPT did become the world's most downloaded non-gaming app.
Literally the job of everyone in government to address the media and the public.
What are your thoughts, audience? What are your thoughts on Zandy Silva as the deputy PLP leader?
A community that can't feed itself is a community that can.
What you may not know, though, is that Bermuda, we have a connection with Epstein, too.
Things that people are doing right, the youth are doing right, that is not being advertised enough.
When you see access to U.S. dollars disappear, that's when you have a problem.
If you've got a town in the UK with a similar sized population, this place absolutely outshines it.
It's Tuesday, the 17th day of February, 2026. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical House Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. I'm Jamal Hartman, and we'll have a news break from Teo Dill in a bit. How's everyone feeling today? It is a new week and opportunity. Well, yesterday equated to a new traditional work week. We just didn't have a show, but hopefully everyone, your week got off to a fantastic start on Monday. And, it's a happy Tuesday for you all. How's everyone feeling today? How's everyone feeling? Wow, what a day. We lost one of Bermuda's, simply Bermuda's best in the media space. And then you wake up and you hear that Jesse Jackson, Reverend Jesse Jackson has also passed away. Losing greats, man. We are losing some greats. We are losing some greats. But let us know, how are you feeling? We've got a lot to get through this morning. Obviously, when there's a no-show day, we've got things that we need to get through. Kenton Trotz says, good morning, TDH family. It's a terrific Tuesday and a happy morning and Tuesday to you as well, Kenton. All right. Well, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome the Commissioner of the Bermuda Police Service, Darrin Simons, onto the show. We're going to be discussing the year that was and the year ahead from a policing perspective. The daily play is going to be a Remember When today. Remember When. And audience, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. We're going to jump right into it. And Miss Ellen Kate Horton says, good morning, everyone, and a happy Tuesday to you too, Miss Horton. Miss Horton's been busy. She's not swimming this morning, but glad to have you with us live. Kenton Trot says, condolences to the families who have experienced loss over the past few days. Indeed. We had a road fatality as well. So, we have a lot to get through, and I'm sure Teo will touch on a number of things in his Daily Hour news break. Question of the morning, audience, is what can we do to attract more Bermudians to tourism/hospitality jobs? And just a yes or no, do or have you ever worked in the tourism industry? Do or have you ever worked in the tourism industry? Now you all may be like, okay, again, what is Jamel on about this morning? Well, I will get to that. And audience, I will have more to say about what's happened over the last few days in a bit. But, we're heading into what's expected to be a very busy tourism season in Bermuda. But there's a growing concern that doesn't get talked about enough, and that's the staffing, right? Industry leaders recently gathered to discuss what many hotels, restaurants, and hospitality businesses are quietly facing, that they don't have enough workers to meet the demand. Here's why that matters. Tourism isn't just about visitors taking pictures on pink sand beaches. It's about jobs. It's about restaurants staying open. It's about taxis running, right? It's about retail shops moving inventory. It's about the entire experience we promise when someone chooses Bermuda over somewhere else. If we don't have enough trained and motivated staff ready to serve, the visitor experience suffers. And when that happens, our reputation suffers. So the real questions that we need to ask ourselves is, why are we struggling to fill these roles? These same roles where our parents and grandparents raised their families, supported their families, built their homes. Why are we struggling? Is it the pay? Is it working conditions? Is it perception that tourism isn't a career but a temporary job? Is it a skills gap? Or is it that young Bermudians are simply choosing other industries? At the same time, there's always the delicate balance between bringing in foreign workers to meet immediate demand and building a sustainable workforce pipeline. Because here's the truth. If tourism isn't going to grow, the workforce has to grow with it. Sorry, if tourism is going to grow, the workforce has to grow with it. And if we want Bermudians in those roles, from entry level all the way to management, then the industry has to be attractive, stable, and competitive. How do we get it there? How do we ensure that this is something that young people are going to want to do? How do we make it interesting, attractive? What are your thoughts, audience? What can we do to attract more Bermudians to tourism, hospitality jobs? But also, just a yes or no, do or have you ever worked in the tourism industry? Have you, I mean, this was a pastime. This is something that most Bermudians have done. I have worked at numerous hotels in Bermuda. 1, 2, so Grotto, Elbow, Newstead, Hamilton Princess. So that's 4. Yeah, I think 4 hotels I worked at in Bermuda at some point in my life. And I've done things from purchasing department to pool attendant, security. What else I said, Grotto? Hamilton Princess. I said one more, I can't remember, but I've done a number of jobs. And for me, I thought that was always going to be the way to go for many people in my generation, but apparently not. So let us know, audience. Let us know what are your thoughts. Let's go see what you're saying. We've got Kenton Trott says, yes, I worked at the front desk at the Elbow Beach Hotel. I loved it. Okay, Kenton. All right, brother. See? And folks, it's how can I put it? So many people who you know as maybe police officers or lawyers or even judges, as doctors, so many people at some point worked in these spaces, right? So many people. I remember I was hosting a radio show at Bermuda Broadcasting in the summer of 2011, and I've shared this on the show before. And a gentleman called up, and he said, with all the money I'm spending on my child to go to university, I don't want her coming back and working on someone's front desk. And it was tough hearing that, right? And I understand his concern, because without data, it just seems like the tourism was worth it at one point in Bermuda. And then international business came, and tourism jobs were not enough to sustain or support your family. It's all good saying that, oh, well, our parents and grandparents built things, and yeah, the economy was very different back then as well. It's a concern, and if we're in the tourism business, we've got to make sure Bermudians see it as a viable career option. Kenton Trott says, the hardest part when I was in tourism is the seasonality of it. Spring, summer, and fall were good. The winter drop in pay was brutal. I mean, Kenton, that was beautiful back in the day. I remember the late Walton Brown, spoke about his family, right? How they were supporting their family like that. It was used as time off. However, nowadays, with the economy what it is, people can't afford not to get good pay year round. So I think that's one of the biggest changes. Like, how do we help people during that time? How do people sustain, right? I did ask, do or have you ever worked in the tourism industry? We've got Angeline Butner says yes. We've got Tanika Eve says yes. Some of my best memories, says Tanika Eve. Indeed, I loved it. We've got Restless Native says tourism was our #1 industry in the 80s. Yeah, it definitely was. And then international business. And I am not criticizing IB. IB has done a lot of great things for Bermuda and offered great opportunities for Bermudians. But I don't know if we ever struck the balance between the IB sector and tourism. And therefore, tourism has suffered and it struggled. And then, again, you've got people who think like that person who called. Like, I'm not spending all this money on university for my child to go to college and then come back and work on someone's front desk. No, my response at the time was, well, they started the front desk. They worked their way up to hotel management. Folks, and you all may feel differently, but having worked in Bermuda tourism, seeing Bermudians, especially Black Bermudians, get rise through the ranks at local hotels and become the hotel manager, or just go look and see who runs the hotels. They don't look and sound like me. I'm just saying. So I understand the concern that people have regarding it, but I'm sure there's something we can do. Everyone's not going to be a reinsurance person or a lawyer or a doctor. I remember when we were when I was in primary school, and, certain teachers would try to say things like, oh, you don't want to be the janitor, or you don't want to work on the trash truck, and like demean careers. And I'm like, here's the thing I always thought about. Well, someone has to do it. Right? Someone has to do it. So why demean people who are doing the very jobs, not only that you don't want to do, but that need to be done so that you can have a certain quality of life? A front desk person, to me, isn't less than, especially with what they have to deal with. Are they compensated like someone who may be a lawyer or a reinsurance exec? Maybe not. They could be. Let us know, audience, what can we do? Any suggestions? What can we do to attract more Bermudians to tourism hospitality jobs? And do or have you ever worked in the tourism industry? This is your daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure. Angeline Butler says, yes, I worked at Southampton Princess, babysitting at nights and weekends. Okay. All right. There you go. That's a thing. Suzanne Ingham says, my grandson's closest friend in Berkeley loves tourism and has a summer job there. She has a bubbly personality and just loves it. In another year and a half, is going into tourism as her profession. She truly loves it. Power to her. And I wonder if she has people around her, maybe family or friends who worked in that space, and that inspires her and makes her want to get into that space, because sometimes it comes down to family, right? But I wonder. We've got Ify says, yes, worked in the space. Yes, 2 hotels, Nicole Walker. A lot of people don't even remember. I don't know if I shared this. Man, I remember when I was saving for college. I mean, I worked some jobs. I even did the pot washing, what they call it, kitchen porter at Lobster Pot one summer. I think it was like 99, 2000, something around there. And I mean, I was making like $10 an hour, but man, I mean, you could eat that food every night. Because, I love eating. And seafood, man, you got a meal. It was a cool time. I don't know if people are willing to make those sacrifices anymore. I mean, I hate to sound old, because I'm not as old as some of you in the audience. But times have definitely changed. I mean, I remember when I went out, got my first job packing groceries. The mindset I had was, I want to be able to give myself something, right? I want to be able to get that video game that I really wanted from Leisure Time, which was open at the time. And so that's why I went, for all my mother knew it and family knew, is I was in detention. And, my aunt was the reason, say, oh, you have to tell your mom you got a job. So I went down a supermarket, and they were paying like 50 cents an hour at the time. They were the only store, I don't know if they still do it, but they were the only store that paid. And went down there, and I just loved it, packing groceries, making my own money. And that's how I always looked at tourism. It's like, it may not be what some other careers are in terms of compensation, but the reward isn't always going to be in, what you make sometimes, right? It's the love and passion for it. And I know love and passion can pay bills, folks. I get that. But what we need to do somehow, some way, we need to figure out a way to get more Bermudians into the industry. Or else, guess what we're going to be doing? Having conversations on this show about, oh, why no Bermudians there? Well, did you want to do it? Did you or someone you know look at the option of maybe getting in there? Let's go back to the audience. This is your daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure. We've got Renee Simmons says, never worked in tourism, always IB, but my brothers have. One of them returned after retiring and is bellman and a limousine driver for the Greens Hamilton Princess. Manuela says, hold on. Let me go back to that. Sorry. You said after retiring. So did he come out of retirement because they couldn't find any Bermudians to do those jobs? Is that what you're saying with this? And then we've got Manuela says, we need to realize the number of jobs available in hospitality. There are other things behind the front desk and rooms that are taken by guest workers if we don't want them. Chefs, right? We have room director of rooms, sales, marketing, PR, HR. Start front desk and end up somewhere else. There are so many different jobs. Thank you for that, Manuela, within a hotel that you can do. There really are. Thank you for that, Manuela. Traveling Charlie says, have the banks offered a preferred mortgage rate for those in that industry? That's a good question. And I think those are the kind of things that need to happen. Maybe do industry-specific things to help people, right? That's how community works. Maybe insurance companies work to attract more Bermudians in there. Give breaks with benefits for health insurance. There are so many things that we can go beyond the surface to try to attract more Bermudians into the space. Ms. Allen Kate Horton said, we attended an event at Cambridge Beaches recently, and I was thrilled to see so many young Bermudians working. I'm going to be real with you. I was talking to someone recently. I don't remember who. I talked to a lot of people, apparently. And I was talking about Jamaica and how before I went to Jamaica for the first time in 2016, I absolutely had no interest in visiting. I just had no interest. Didn't dislike Jamaica, just had no interest. And I'm going to tell you, man, went for my boy's wedding. That was one of the best countries I visited. You know what made Jamaica one of the best countries I visited? The people. And I remember I was working in Bermuda tourism at the time, and I don't speak the clearest Queen's English. You know, I know where I'm from. I do my best to read and improve on the way my vocabulary sounds. I do. But what I really appreciated about Jamaica is the people in the hotel weren't told to say, good morning, good afternoon. Yeah, man, wagwan. You know, they were themselves. Could you imagine someone at Hamilton Princess saying, what up, done? What management would say to them? Safe? Yeah, respect. Like, could you imagine? See, we're not allowed to be ourselves in Bermuda. We have to pretend. We have to look like clowns in Bermuda shorts. Yeah, I said it. We can't be who we are. Gumbays, the culture, right? It's performance to tourists at hotels. What I really loved, and I went back to Jamaica the following year, is how they're allowed to be themselves and engage people in patois and who they are. That's something we don't like, because in Bermuda, it's seen as ghetto, not proper. You want to get people into that space? If they are not harming anyone, allow them to be themselves. As long as the individuals they're speaking with, communicating with, understand them. But unfortunately, to sound like a Jamal Hartman isn't proper. To speak like Jamal Hartman isn't okay. That's not how we act. But in Jamaica, Wagwan Virgin, morning. It was just normal, natural. That's what I loved about Jamaica, the people, the culture. Pablo says, I worked in hospitality, not tourism exactly, spent a summer bossing tables at Blackbeard's, where Achilles says, no, I love Blackbeard, some of the best fish there. Charles H. Duffs II says, believe it or not, yes, started as a busboy in the Newport room at Southampton Princess, worked there for 12 years full-time and part-time before moving overseas and started working at a DMO. Well, Charles, got your start. I knew you said you worked there before, but 12 years, you put some time in. You didn't just, rise to the top. Good stuff. Restless Native says, when we were younger, our work ethic was more focused on experience and knowledge. Now it's all about the pay. Absolutely. Like for me, it was the experience for me, man, and learning from people around me. Like even now, I try to learn as much and pull as much from others as I can. I do. That's the humble part, right? Is you are humble enough to enter a space knowing you don't know it all. Like, very little, but you were learning. And that's, you don't see that anymore. Information is so accessible today that people don't necessarily feel like any human can give it to them, if that makes sense. Let's go through a few more comments. This is your daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure. We've got Travel and Truddy says, maybe give tax breaks to hotels that have a significant percentage of Bermudian employees. Okay. And then we've got James Burgess said, my mother worked at hotels. Okay. WKD Lama, I worked at the cycle shop at Elbow Beach. Colonized people, says Restless Native. Plus, we were bombarded with propaganda from our colonizers and imperial masters. Fair enough. We've got Cameron Fox. I'll go through these last few. Got the commission coming up. Says, I remember all my aunts worked Marriott, and every year we went Florida, everyone got discounts from Marriott hotels where their whole family was able to travel and enjoy Florida on a hotel salary. Love that. Love that. We've got Bermuda horse trainer, BDA horse trainer, reintroduced hotel technology back in the schools. We learned to be waiters, chefs, etc. Starting at age 12. Leaving high school, everyone could work in the industry at some capacity. We've got Patricia Chapman says, perhaps offer them some sort of incentive like housing to help offset absorption, rent, and mortgage payments. We've got I worked at Marriott, says Karen Simmons. Okay. And we've got Elbow and Castle Harbor, James Burgess. Manuela says, what do you learn from visiting other countries if their employees try to act like the visitors? It's not authentic. It's not authentic. It's like when people come to Bermuda, I mean, you shouldn't want a McDonald's or Walmart. Like, you want that authentic experience, right? So it's not authentic. All right, folks, that's your daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure. We're going to go to the news break with Teo Dill. And but before that, let's show some love to Titan Express and Secure for ensuring that we can have these conversations with you on a regular basis.
The daily discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Titan Express delivers safe, professional, and reliable transportation and tours across the island. From island tours to cultural experiences, they set the standard. And Secure is your go-to for property management, waste management, and residential and commercial services. Visit securebda.com. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is their commitment to you.
All righty, let's go to Teo Dill for your daily hour news break, folks. In the meantime, if you're streaming with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, X, or Instagram, you know what to do. Give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, and your colleagues.
Good morning, I'm Teo Dill, and welcome to your TDH News Break, brought to you by the great folks at Peoples. Since 1984, Bermuda has counted on Peoples Pharmacy. 4 decades of care, service, and heart. Here's to 41 years of growing together. And this is a strong example of Bermuda stepping up regionally to support our cousins down south when they need it. A team of 26 Royal Bermuda Regiment soldiers and officers has traveled to Jamaica to lead a multinational relief effort following the damage caused by Hurricane Melissa. The group's going to be deployed until February 28th, focusing on repairing damaged roofs in St. Elizabeth Parish, which was hit hard when the storm made landfall as a Category 5 back in October. They'll be joined by troops from Cayman, their regiment, and the Turks and Caicos Islands Regiment, working alongside the Jamaica Defense Force and the Guyana Defense Force to fix as many roofs as possible. And our premier, David Burt's going to open the Bermuda Risk Summit on March 9th, according to the Bermuda Business Development Agency, as Bermuda seeks to capitalize on our position as a global reinsurance hub at a pivotal moment for the industry. The three-day summit at the Hamilton Princess and Beach Club arrives as reinsurers navigate softening pricing and record capital levels after years of hardening conditions. AM Best recently revised its outlook for global reinsurance to stable from positive, underscoring the shift in market dynamics. The premier's opening remarks will be followed by a fireside chat with Minister of Economy and Labor Jason Hayward, focusing on Bermuda's economic priorities and international collaboration in the current global environment. And Palmerston, the cat named the former chief mouser of the Foreign Office in the UK, has passed away here in Bermuda. The rescue cat from Battersea Dogs and Cats Home retired from service in Whitehall in 2020 after 4 years in the post. And in February of last year, his social media account announced the cat had been bought out of retirement for a brand new overseas diplomatic posting nearly 3,500 miles away as a, quote, feline relations consultant semi-retired to the new governor of Bermuda. Announcing his death, a post on the feline's X account paid tribute to the Diplocat extraordinaire who it said had passed away peacefully on the 12th of February. And tributes to local journalism legend Ceola Wilson have been dominating our social media feed since her sudden passing over the weekend, all celebrating her skill, insight, accomplishments, and value to Bermuda's history of broadcasting. Now, I've been in this game one way or another for about 20 years, so I have my very own personal Ceola story, and just listen to it. You should understand why I'm sharing it. So this was years and years ago when I was still working at Inter Island Communications, amongst other things, performing production services. Now, Ceola was doing some marketing consulting for local businesses at the time. So she had a commercial to record, had her booked for a certain time, certain day. She shows up right on time. It was the middle of summer. It's incredibly hot. So she's sweaty. And, you know, Ceola, she could sometimes be in a mood, and she was in a mood. So she pulled up, no script in hand, just ready, sweaty to record. So I set it up. Everything's rolling. She looks at me, makes a face to make sure that the recorder was going, and I confirmed that it was. And she sat down, and this is the magic. This is the Ceola genius. She sat down and was completed with the whole project in less than 2 minutes. In those 2 minutes, she recorded 3 different versions of the same script off the top of her head. She wouldn't read nothing. And she made minor adjustments in each one of the takes to, you know, different feel, different vibe. And she got each of them done within a half second of 30 seconds a piece, like right on time. I don't know if you understand this, but I promise you, nobody can do that. That is genius level, like museum grade broadcasting skills, to be able to make those changes on the fly without using a script and to keep your timing so precise. Nobody can do that except for Ceola. And when she finished, she looked at me, said, "That's all right?" And I said, "Yep." And she left, and that was it. I have never seen that level of broadcast precision in the entirety of my 20-year career in this space. So yeah, Ceola was one of one, and she will be missed. And weather-wise, today's conditions should not have too much to do with last night's thunder, lightning, and heavy rain. We're getting a much nicer day after last night's wild weather, with early cloud clearing out to mostly sunny skies. Winds are still strong out of the north-northwest this morning, but they ease steadily through the afternoon and calm down even more tonight, with a high around 65 and a low near 58, while the UV index sits at a 4. That's to say moderate. And that's your TDH News Break, brought to you by our friends at Peoples. I'm Teo Dill. Now back to the show.
Thanks so much for that, Tay. I love that Ceola story, you know. The woman with the perfect delivery, the golden sound, the fierce personality, and trusted voice. That was Ceola Wilson. Growing up in Bermuda, we were blessed with incredible media figures: Janelle Ford, Darlene Ming, Rick Richardson, Mike Sharp, and many others who helped shape our understanding of journalism. But Ceola stood apart. There was something about her presence, her conviction, her tone, her unwavering commitment to truth. And she wasn't just a journalist. She was an activist, an advocate, a guardian of narrative. She understood that stories matter. And more importantly, who tells them matters. She used her journey and her platform to ensure that our stories were told authentically, not shaped, softened, or filtered by others. I had the privilege of getting to know Ciola in her later years, and my respect for her only deepened. I remember before the 2025 election, people were encouraging me to host a debate between candidates, and my response was simple. Ciola is the only person who should be conducting a debate between candidates. She was the standard. The work she produced may not have always received the applause it deserved, but it was necessary. It was courageous. It was foundational. Like so many others, I will miss her. But even more than that, I am grateful that I got to experience her, to witness her excellence up close. Now that her work is done, I pray that the torch she carried so faithfully is taken up by a new generation of Bermudians, ready to build, to challenge, and leave a legacy just as impactful. Ciola Wilson, thank you for it all. Enjoy your rest, my friend, and may your legacy bring peace to your family and comfort to all those lives you touched. Ciola Wilson. Folks, we are going to take a quick break, and I have to give you a days of the year real quickly. It is Pancake Day. So let us know during the break. We'll come back. What is your favorite flavor of pancake? We've done this before, so should be no surprise. I might have a different flavor today, but let us know your favorite flavor of pancake. We'll be back after this short break, so do not go anywhere. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places, and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Paired with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast, so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
What lasts isn't what you buy, but what it becomes. With the HSBC MasterCard credit card, every spend quietly adds to a story shaped by intention and offers what matters most. Support that meets you where you are. Protection that preserves what you choose. Confidence for the unexpected. Peace of mind wherever your story leads. Start your next chapter. Use your card today. HSBC is licensed to conduct banking and investment business by the Bermuda Monetary Authority.
What if the age that really matters isn't the one on your ID? You probably know your chronological age, the number of candles on your last birthday cake. But there's another kind of age that may be even more important, your biological age. This reflects how old your body truly is at the cellular level. It is influenced by your genes, your environment, and the choices you make every day. Two people can both be 40 years old on paper, but one may have the body of a healthy 30-year-old, while the other is biologically closer to 50. The difference? Lifestyle choices on nutrition, sleep, stress, exercise, and exposure to toxins. That means you have some control over your biological clock, and that's exactly what makes it so powerful. Because when it comes to aging, it's not just about living longer, it's about living better. Want to know your predicted biological age today? Download the free Carry Genetics app and fill in the lifestyle questionnaire.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Jamal Hartman here, folks. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda, Medical House Lindos, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 107.5 for ensuring we can pump through the radio areas with these most important community conversations. Folks, do not forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. And folks, we didn't have a show on Monday. And if you've been tuned and if you've been rocking with us, you know that every week, we will be hearing a Bermudian icon. The first was Dr. Angela Berry and her contributions to Bermuda. The second was Uncle Bobby. Yes, Robert Horton last week. And here's the third Bermudian that we're recognizing as a Bermudian icon.
If you've ever wondered who helped put Bermuda on the music map, you should know the name of Eddie DeMello, one of the island's most legendary entertainment promoters and cultural connectors. He owned the iconic Music Box record store on Reed Street and spent decades bringing major acts to Bermuda, including Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, Mahalia Jackson, Charlie Pride, Hank Williams Jr., and others, which is honestly insane for a small island. But Eddie didn't just bring stars here. He also recorded and produced Bermudian stars themselves, talent through his own labels, working with groups like the Savages, the Gents, and the Weeds, helping preserve and elevate local music culture. This is the point. Eddie DeMello did not just promote shows. He helped to build Bermuda's modern entertainment scene.
Eddie DeMello, a Bermudian icon. Folks, make sure you go and follow Bermudian icons on your favorite social media platforms and stay up to date who we're recognizing. Like I said, at the end of the year, we'll be releasing a special card edition with information on every person who's made great contributions to the Bermuda we all love. Now, I did ask people, it's Pancake Day. What's your favorite pancake? We've got Nicole Walker says blueberry pumpkin. Karen Simmons says banana pumpkin. We've got Suzanne says she was up 2:30 making pumpkin pancakes. All right. Well, we are going to have to ask, we've got RIP Ciola, Dr. Chapman, your voice and presence as a journalist will be sorely missed. We've got a very special guest today, the Commissioner of Bermuda Police, Darrin Simons. Now, he's got to answer before anything else what his favorite pancake is. So we're going to ask Commissioner what's his favorite pancake. Folks, let's give a warm TDH welcome to the Commissioner of the Bermuda Police Service, Darrin Simons.
And good morning, Jamal, and good morning to your listening audience. Favorite pancake? Wow, interesting way to start off. I would say probably chocolate chip or just regular buttermilk pancakes. I'm pretty regular kind of pancake eater kind of guy.
Okay. No, I mean, I didn't really get fancy until I became an adult. In my house, we just had the regular buttermilk, but I think over the last probably 10 years, I experienced pumpkin, which changed my life. And then this place I used to go to in Florida, really hole in the wall spot, had the best blueberry pancakes. So
blueberry pancakes are nice. I tend to put, we tend to put strawberries and blueberries on top and sometimes banana. So just a plain foundation accented by just some fresh fruit and real maple syrup.
Real maple syrup. So you're straight from Canada.
Straight from Canada, real maple syrup. Comes in small bottles at today's cost.
Okay, small bottles. So we got to, make sure we're not over drenching it. But Commissioner, thank you so much for making time for us, stopping by. Thank you for your patience this morning as well. Let's start off. 2025 was somewhat of a crazy year. I'll say it like that. It was when we think back, it was a shocking year, marked by two mass shootings. In a daylight murders. One in particular was a woman in a store where she worked. What did 2025 reveal about Bermuda's most pressing public safety challenges?
I think you make a point. There were 7 murders last year, and a couple of mass what is generally referred to as mass incidents. So more than 3 firearms related incidents. The previous year we had 9, so we were actually down. But when you look at the quality of those incidents, certainly I do appreciate community concern. So I'm very much on the record describing that. People, the level of violence that we've seen is particularly concerning. The brazenness with which people do these actions is continues to be concerning. But notwithstanding that, I am buoyed by the Bermuda Police sort of response and the community's response to some of these incidents in terms of information sharing. So, the Bermuda Police, we've arrested, just in relation to those serious type of offenses, we've arrested about 21 people. And we've put 8 persons before the court stemming from matters in 2024, and we've had 2 persons convicted of serious offenses involving going back to 2023 and 2024. You could appreciate that murder investigations, large-scale serious investigations, do take a while before those matters go before the court, and depending on how they were committed and the amount of evidence that we have at the time the incidents occur, it can take a little bit of time before people are arrested and charged and appear before the courts.
You mentioned the community just now, and my follow-up to that was, for years, yourself, your colleagues, the organization as a whole has really spoken to the community of how important the part they play is. And I keep coming back to last year, May 24th, Bermuda Day, when the community alerted the police of individuals in dark clothing riding around, and the police pulled them over and they were basically found to have a blade on them. How important, not just with helping solve crimes, but preventing crimes, is the community?
Well, there's no greater asset or tool in terms of policing or public safety than the community. They are the eyes and ears that are out there all the time. They are the ones that in all throughout of the community, they see a pattern of life, and then they recognize when things are different. They know people who are up to no good, and those people in places that they aren't normally, or just under circumstances that cause concern. The community sees that kind of stuff. So there is no greater law enforcement public safety tool than the community. And I say that message quite frequently. I ask for the community's help, and it's always against the background of the community just have this expectation that the police are going to solve all these crimes and prevent all these incidents. Well, the reality is we are not everywhere, but the community is. And when they share that information with us, either before events happen, we're able to mobilize units and mitigate something that could happen, or investigate more successfully and things that have already happened. And the people say, well, the crime has already been committed. You are absolutely correct in that view. But arresting people, incarcerating individuals who have done really bad things prevents future harm from that individual, in particular. Plus, they answer for the crimes that they have committed.
And you kind of just touched on this. The rebuilding public trust is critical. Last year, the Bermuda Police Service was very visible on social media with some comic relief, per se. With some of the social media posts that were made, engaged a lot of people, but there were some who were uncomfortable with it. Maybe some may have lost a relative. I've had people come up to me, believe it or not, I'm sharing this for the first time publicly in the street, saying, why don't I question the police when they come on a daily hour about why certain murders are put in the news and why nobody from 4-2? Like, I've had that. And so I'm like, well, I'll ask those questions. But there are certain people who feel like, no, the police is not doing the job. They don't trust you. When I grew up, it was like you don't trust the police, mainly because of what people were seeing on television, what was happening in the movies and so on. So what are some of the critical steps that the police are doing? And if you can answer that, because I don't have the answer, how does the police go about saying, oh, we're still looking for information on this murder 10 years ago? But when I ask names, they say, well, I haven't seen one for Kamwandi Robinson or Joshua Robinson or whoever. I haven't seen that stuff.
Okay, so I mean, we tend to just bring up historical murders, cold cases, if you'd like, maybe annually, maybe on the anniversary, 5-year, 10-year anniversary. So that just happens as a matter of course. I don't have sort of the facts around, well, you've brought up these ones, but not those ones. I personally, there's no correlation to that kind of thing. We just always are asking the community for help around particular investigations as they've aged. It's never too late to solve a historical kind of murder. In terms of trust, I think we need to also appreciate that trust in the Bermuda Police Service sits in a larger context of trust just generally. So it's kind of well reported that trust in public institutions globally is at an all-time low. So people's perceptions of trust are influenced by what is happening locally and internationally, and that's a factor that all public institutions sort of need to come to grips with. And for the Bermuda Police Service, at the same time, we're also trying to be far more transparent about when things go wrong and bringing them to the public's attention, and perhaps sharing a little bit more information as is appropriate, when we can. And all that's a bit of a double-edged sword. On one hand, you sort of can have this perspective, well, when things go wrong, the police are going to tell us what happened, but at the same time, as more incidents because of transparency are brought to the fore, you think, well, more and more and more is going wrong. In terms of our social media or shifts in our social media, we're just trying to find different ways to engage the most amount of people in the community that we can. And for us, when people are talking about the police, when people see us dehumanized, where I just think it creates greater opportunities for engagement. There are downsides. There are people that are going to say law enforcement is always a serious topic and you should always approach it seriously. Well, you just have to look at all the comedians who poke fun at things that we would see as, or we would just naturally see as serious. And you see a broad range of reactions to that and engagement around the topic. We try really to be sensitive when we're doing that, when we are being lighthearted in our social media. So we don't want to be cross a line that the masses think is just plain sensitive. And it's a bit of trial and error. Like, we're not going to get it all the time. We're not going to get it right all the time, but we are striving to think about how can we shift our communication style to be more engaging, to get more feedback from the community, get more information from the community. And just, when you think we don't have it right, by all means, let us know, because we're willing to learn from each of these incidents and continue to sharpen our focus and how we're doing it.
Indeed. An audience, if you have any questions or comments for Commissioner Simons, please send them through. We'll get through as many as possible. We spoke about this earlier, beyond enforcement, prevention, right? And I personally have agreed. There's been a debate on this show for years about how the police goes about notifying people about their stop and searches and the like. And I've said, and I think your colleagues have said, the job of police is not to criminalize people. It's to help change behavior, right? To prevent things from happening. What prevention measures are you able to share? Because obviously policing cannot share everything, but particularly around youth intervention and intelligence-led policing, are you expending in 2026? I remember on this show before, we spoke about when I was young, we had the police bus coming to schools and the like. which was very helpful in engaging young people. But what prevention measures are being taken by the police in particular?
So just recently, towards the end of last year, we put some significant energy into getting into the schools around knife crime and sharing with young people, particularly in the high schools, what our views are around carrying knives. Sharing with them that it's actually you're more likely to be harmed when you arm yourself than you are if you don't. Um, as our numbers get up, we're able to dedicate more and more people into our parish or more sort of community focused units within the organization. We're still down, but I would imagine that by the end of this year, we should be up to around 420 officers, and that's going to give us the flexibility to shift resources from sort of the critical crime response type policing and more towards some of the dedicated community policing. I mean, we're always engaging the community, but I would like to have, 10, 15 people that are full-time dedicated to doing community work. And just as our numbers go up, those are going to rise. I mean, this year we also saw, with the assistance of the minister and the governor, we did some, governor's councils, town halls, and that was an opportunity for the community to engage with the police, for us to get feedback on what it is they think we should be doing, start doing, stop doing, do more of, do less of. So those outreaches will continue in various different iterations. We're also now doing a monthly radio blitz, if you'd like. So maybe 1 week out of every month, we're going across all the radio stations and talking about various topics. The two that we've done, we started with domestic abuse. That I actually did that with Chief Inspector Derica Burns, and we are just now concluding sort of road traffic, road harm. So that's another way that we are in this upcoming year, that we're going to be regularly engaging with the community and providing opportunities for them to ask questions.
Okay, that's a perfect segue into road safety. Unfortunately, we did have another fatality this past weekend. Road safety is another serious concern behind the violence, with ongoing fatalities and just reckless driving incidents. Why does this remain such a persistent issue in Bermuda right now?
So I think there's a couple things that are going on. So first of all, last year we recorded, first of all, I'd like to express my condolences to the family of the young woman who was deceased in that road traffic fatality. No parent wants to wake up or just get the news that their child has passed away. Especially in such preventable kinds of circumstances. It is senseless. And I really do want to express my condolences to that family in particular. Last year, we experienced 11 road traffic fatalities, and this year, even before March, we have 3. So we normally average 1 a month. So it's about 12 on average, 12 road traffic fatalities a year. And that has been for quite some time. So, and it's been that way, even in spite of some very significant changes in the sort of road safety landscape. And I'm going way back when you think about the introduction of helmets, when you think about the introduction of breathalyzer, not roadside sobriety, but breathalyzer way back when you think about the introduction of seatbelt laws. Now that one has actually had a very significant impact. So we do not see fatalities for persons in vehicles unless those vehicles go in the water. So when I started policing, I would walk into the ComOps yard, operations yard, and you would see cars that the front screen, you could see like a round, divot in the front screen, and you knew that the driver or passenger of that in that vehicle simply didn't have a seatbelt and their head collided with the windscreen. You just don't see that anymore because of seatbelt laws. So we've had 12, even with the introduction of roadside sobriety testing, we still had 12. A figure that we don't often talk about is that we experience about 100 on average, give or take, plus or minus 10, maybe 15. We have about 130 serious injury accidents a year. Now, a serious injury accident is an accident where there are pretty much like life-changing injuries. So somebody's lost a limb, somebody is in a wheelchair, those kinds of serious life-changing injuries. Now, there's about, like I said, that 130 a year, and each one of those 130 really has the potential to be fatal. And that number has, again, sort of stayed consistently over, and I'm going, 20, 30 years that, it's that long. So, what we need to do about that, there's three focuses. We call it engineering, education, and enforcement. So we partner with the Road Safety Council, with the Ministry of Transport, particularly around education. Enforcement is largely the police, and engineering is about road design and vehicle safety. The vehicle safety part is largely out of our control because it is manufacturers. But rest assured that globally, road safety in terms of the vehicles, is a significant thing. I think the piece that so the reality is 130 serious injuries and approximately 12 road traffic fatalities. We've been up as high as 17, and even recently we've been low down in like 7. So that the reality is people will have been there's no news there, and it's happened all the time. What people are significantly talking about, and what you alluded to, is the change in driver behaviors. So attitudes towards driving across the general population. And I do think that has something to do with the levels of enforcement that we've experienced. And I would love to have people out there every day doing traffic enforcement to bring calm on the roads. However, we need to, resource a number of things, primarily serious crime, violent crime, is where those resources are being directed towards, as opposed to day in and day out road traffic enforcement. I do believe that speed cameras, when they come online, will significantly impact general driver behavior. And I'm hopeful that we can get back to a place where Bermuda is known for driving with care, caution, and courtesy. I don't think, if I'm being frank, that is going to reduce the amount of fatalities. Going back to what I originally said, we've had 12, for, I don't know, nigh on 50 plus years, a year. But without a doubt, it should impact your average driving behavior, where people are not speeding as much, maybe where they're not, because you're impacting the behavior around speed, they're not going to be doing as much of this, dangerous driver behavior. I think the other thing that, and the main contributors for road traffic fatalities and indeed serious accidents are speed, alcohol, distracted driving. And because, maybe many of these accidents happen during the evening hours or early morning hours, there's, some, fatigue could play a factor in that also.
It's I thank you for saying something you said that I really hope stands out. We can go back decades, like decades and decades, and we've been through that certain number, right? Like
12.
That certain number. But I guess I wonder if we go back those same decades, do we see the same number of like the 130 something you mentioned?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Right. Now I can speak confidently. Because I'd like to make sure I'm being accurate. I can speak confidently going back to 2000s. I do not have, but the line is flat. Like that line is flat, right? We have seen a reduction in all accidents, but it is the minor accidents that have come down. And whether those minor accidents have actually come down or just that police don't require every accident to be reported, that could have contributed to what we see as a reduction in the numbers of accidents that are reported to us. But I don't know definitively, but the line is flat when it comes to serious injury accidents. So there just hasn't been a shift in spite of some quite significant changes which were brought about that should have reduced road harm.
Yeah.
And again just the piece around, I mean, everybody talks about just general driving behavior, and I agree. Like I entirely agree. Particularly, for me, I just noticed a massive shift in the COVID times, but there was a decline even before that. And I think levels of enforcement will impact that. And I tell the story, candid, when I before I became a police officer, even after I become a police officer, in the back of we're going back 30 years, right? In the back of my mind, and I'm sure you can relate, you thought about, is there a cop around the corner?
Yeah.
We all did.
I still do.
Yeah, but now people are saying this just not as much. They just get in the car and they just don't have that. People who were here driving 30 years ago will speak fervently about, I was always concerned about there being a cop around the corner, right? And because they were, and they are not now. Again, we had 480 officers back during that time. We're now down to 380, working our way back up to 420. And that contributes to the amount of visibility, the amount of day in and day out enforcement that we're able to do. And people sort of say, well, why don't you just go out and do that every day? Well, people don't realize you go out and you issue 4,000 tickets. Well, maybe a third of those have court appearances, right? And people need to prepare, to be in court. But not only that, we've just got a number of other jobs that we absolutely need to do. And we're just not able to dedicate as many hours to that dedicated traffic enforcement. But those days are going to come back, and we're leveraging technology in terms of speed cameras that I do believe are going to impact daily driver behavior.
What's the timeline with the speed cameras?
I mean, we're still very much in development, but I would like to think we are going to be reporting significant progress, definitely by the end of this year. And I'm giving myself a little extra space there. Maybe summertime, end of summertime, we should have, definitely we'll have cameras up. The challenge is really the technology around identifying a speeder is fairly straightforward. The process of getting that person a ticket is a little more complicated.
Okay. Audience, I'll get to your questions and comments in a second. I appreciate everything you said, because that's kind of been the debate in the Daily Hour chat group is, I continue, and this has been me like all my life. I don't like the idea of thinking that we need more police here or there. No, we're adults. Like, I mean, at what point do we, govern ourselves accordingly, right? I'm not saying that everyone is of the same mindset. We're obviously not. And that governing ourselves accordingly is some simple, straightforward thing. But I think we make excuses for poor and bad behavior when we start to say, well, the police should be here, they should be there. No, we need to be accountable for ourselves and those we love, and ensure that they're doing their part to ensure that, hey, the police are not needed. That's just my personal opinion. So I
No,
appreciate.
I think you are absolutely right in principle, right? There are societies, less and less and less, there are societies that really have very few police officers because the society is not involved in criminality. So the absence or presence of police doesn't really impact people's propensity for criminality. That is a fact, right? It's just an absolute undisputed fact. And I think if we were able to engage more around shame, right? You know, where just everybody thought some of these, let's say, poor driving behaviors, poor driving choices were shameful, we would see less of it, right? That's something I'm beginning to sort of talk about, is that as a community, we need to engage more shame around some of the things that we don't want to see. So I mean, you know, back in the day, again, you know, you as a young person, you got on the bus and you didn't say good morning. You didn't offer your seat to somebody who might needed it more than you. People on the bus said something, and lo and behold, if that information got back to your home, or even in your community, there is just a greater sense of what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable. And you use the word holding people accountable. I think even before that is just having that very clear standard or expectation broadly held in the community. It's not the same anymore. It just isn't. I mean, while it's no comfort, we are not alone. You know, the trends that we're seeing in Bermuda are not unique to Bermuda. There's trends to more violent sort of crime, people acting out, not having the same levels of decorum. You see the discourse on social media and where that can go, even at the highest of levels in terms of leadership. You know, we're just seeing you know, losses of decorum and a level of behavior that we wouldn't have seen or expected from, you know, leaders, significant leaders. We're seeing that portrayed.
Yeah. Let's go to the audience, Commissioner. We've got Dwayne Santucci says, when will we be seeing the special agents from the UK coming to Bermuda, the request that the Premier made to the governor months ago?
So we have them. You know, they've been here for about a month, and are very much embedded in what we're doing. So it's, you know, we've got 3 analysts, 3 serious crime investigators, and 2 financial crime investigators that are you know, increasing our capacity to respond to crime.
All right. Restless Native, I know you kind of said what's causing many of the collisions, but he's asking what percentage of road accidents are alcohol related. Do you have those numbers?
I don't have a percentage of alcohol related accidents. What I can say is we made 156 arrests for impaired driving in 2025, and alcohol is a top 3 cause for road traffic fatalities.
All right. We've got Cameron Fox. Not sure if you have data on this. He says, what is the educational poverty level of the young persons that are committing these crimes in Bermuda?
I would say that there is a correlation between education attainment and you know, propensity towards violent crime, propensity towards crime in general. So the overwhelming majority of people that are involved in criminality have a low education attainment. Switches, as you could imagine, when you get towards, you know, financial crime, you know, being involved in that it just requires more complexity. So that's where you might see a difference. But generally speaking, there's a strong correlation between low education attainment and criminality.
Right.
And it's not just education, but let's just say access and taking advantage of the economy. So people tend not to be, you know, the most violent offenders tend not to be gainfully employed, right? So education, employment are factors. I mean, this is not new, right? Tend to be factors that you see when you look at the profiles of individuals who are involved in criminality.
Well, interesting. Dwayne Santucci says, can you ask well, you can ask. So Commissioner, why are all the major drug busts involve the Black community, and we never see any major bust that involves the white community? This Dwayne Santushi's asking.
So I mean, our reality is we, go where the crimes lead us. We don't pick and choose. The racial makeup of people involved in criminality. We investigate the cases that come to our attention. That is the reality. That, I think the broader question, which we've kind of acknowledged when we talk about, particularly when we talk about violent crime, is that it primarily impacts the Black community. There's just no two ways about that, and the same thing holds true, I think, in the drug world. That's not to say that we don't have white people involved, and when we are able to catch them, we will do so.
Alrighty. Ross Maven says, I suggest anyone interested in road safety take a look at Ireland's drinking and drivers campaign commercials. I wanted to ask, and that's why I shared this, is what similar jurisdictions does Bermuda look at when it comes to policing and improving in areas like the roads or even the violent crime? Are there similar jurisdictions that you look to?
Yeah, so I mean, I would say predominantly our policing style mirrors that of the UK. But where there are sort of proven police tactics changes in, how we do that business, we're keen to adopt that from anywhere. But predominantly our policing style does come from the UK, and there's a lot of research that the UK are doing around, policing. They call it evidence-based policing. So there's academics who study what is the impact of particular police tactics in relation to a problem that they're trying to solve, which ones have shown to be more successful, and then we will look to adopt some of that. And obviously put Bermuda shorts on it, because there are cultural pieces in other jurisdictions that may not be relevant in our jurisdiction.
All right. Last one from the audience. Restless Nathan says the governor last month that the UK will invest 1.7 million into the department. So the UK does have a part in funding. I guess the question was who's responsible for the who controls the police? Sean, Restless Native saying the UK government. And if so, why has the governor been so late to react?
So I definitely think, this governor has been particularly proactive. Bear in mind, in terms of the political context, that Bermuda is, in terms of many of the other OTs, largely the most self-governing of all the territories. There are the leadership or command of the Bermuda Police Service is a bit tripartite. So you've got the governor, who is overall responsible for security, internal, external security. He hires and fires the commissioner. You have the minister that has about 9 delegated areas of responsibility, a big one being finance. And you have the commissioner of police, who's operationally controls or commands the organization and has operational independence, which is a pretty powerful dynamic, in terms that nobody sort of tells the commissioner where to patrol, who to arrest, what investigations to start or stop. There really is independence in that office, and in most well-regulated jurisdictions that is the case.
All righty. Well, you had, Commissioner, looking ahead, we're almost 2 completely full months into 2026. What measurable improvements, both in violent crime reduction and road safety, should Bermudians expect to see from the Bermuda Police Service for the rest of this calendar year?
So I think we're definitely working towards increasing our capacity to engage and capability to engage those highest harm causers in the island. You will remember towards the end of January, it came to the media attention where there was, a number of highly visible operations, firearms operations, where we arrested, 6 individuals. Most of those 6 were suspects in murders, but we're doing, more and more of that. So we're putting more energy into the reality is, covert operations that are designed to target some of the highest harm causers. So we hope to continue to be successful in that vein, where we are arresting suspects and recovering firearms. We recovered firearms last year. We seized almost $30 million worth of drugs, 256 kilograms worth of drugs. And I'm very clear to make the link between violent crime, or those individuals responsible for violent crime, and drugs. Drugs are not just a soft crime. The people who are importing, selling, it's a chain, but the people who are importing and selling drugs are also the same people that are involved in violent crime. And when we're able to incarcerate them for whatever it is, then they lose the ability to perpetuate that crime. And also, as our numbers get up, more community engagement, more traffic enforcement and highly visible patrols, and more frequent traffic enforcement patrols as our numbers get up. And I do think, again, that in 2026, we should be hitting, towards the end of 2026, we should be hitting that 420 mark. And that is going to make a significant difference in how policing looks and feels.
I as you were saying earlier about the seatbelt law, I remember earlier the seatbelt law you mentioned earlier, and it made me smile for this reason, that I remember when it was the early 2000s. I remember when people were up in arms about it, right? And how it faded away. And that statistic, like what you shared, I really hope resonates with people, right? I really do hope it resonates with people that most laws are really there to protect us from ourselves, right?
Yes.
And so thank you for sharing that, because it's not something I would have just thought about it, to say, you know what, since that seatbelt law, we don't see this anymore.
Yes,
and
that has clearly saved lives.
Yeah. And I think I hope, if nothing else, and I hope you said a lot this morning that I really hope resonates with people, but I want people to understand that when laws and things do take place, whether it's stop and search checks going on, these things are not meant to criminalize. The whole seatbelt law wasn't meant to criminalize people. Like, if you don't have it on, we're going to give you a ticket. It was meant to actually save people and make a difference. And to me, that is the highlight of this conversation, because we have a tendency to think that all laws and whatever police set out to do is bad, it's an annoyance, it's an irritant, and the like. So thank you for that, Commissioner, honestly. And thank you. I'm going to echo what Restless Native said. Thanks for taking questions and stopping by. It's greatly appreciated. You guys trusting this platform to engage on a regular basis. This platform is always open to you all if you've got anything to share or communicate directly with this audience. So thank you for always making time, and have a wonderful rest of your day. And I hope to see you soon.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for having me. Again, the Bermuda Police Service, we're your service. We're here to keep you safe. We would love to engage you more, have some information. And I just also want to take a moment to thank the women and men that are out there every day. Our sons, some of our fathers, some of our mothers, some of our sisters, our aunts, our uncles that are out there, police officers doing it every day to keep this community safe. I want to thank them very much for the effort. I'm very proud of what it is they do, and you, Bermuda community, should be also.
Indeed. Talk soon, Commissioner. Have a great day.
All right. Take care. Thank you.
Commissioner Darrin Simons, folks, if you sure appreciated that conversation and you are streaming with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter X, or Instagram, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Folks, as you know, as always, if we're unable to get to all the questions and comments, forgive us. We do have limited time, but please give us a thumbs up, share the conversation with your friends, family, colleagues. Hopefully you got something from the convo. We're going to come back, and we have an interesting daily play. As we mentioned earlier, it's been reported this morning that Reverend Jesse Jackson has passed away. We've got the daily play, and I'll send you off with some daily inspiration, words from Jesse Jackson. Stick with us.
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda business starts here.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Novazoc Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
For over 70 years, Bermuda Pest Control has been protecting homes and businesses island-wide. We offer a full suite of services, including rodent control, termite fumigation, and general insect control and maintenance. Our team of experts will quickly and efficiently eliminate any pest problem you may have. With Bermuda Pest Control, you can enjoy a pest-free home in no time. We're committed to providing fast, reliable, and solution-driven services for our customers. It's what we've been doing since 1952. Call Bermuda Pest Control today and say goodbye to pests for good.
Every space has a message, whether it's a store, a government office, or a doctor's waiting room. With Store Tunes Radio, transform your environment with customized music and professional messaging that keeps people informed, engaged, and at ease. Easy to use, built for organizations of every kind. Powered by Bermuda Communications Group. Store Tunes Radio, the soundtrack to better customer experiences. Visit storetunesradio.com to learn more.
The Office of Consumer Affairs protects residents by promoting fairness, safety, and transparency in the marketplace across the island. We investigate complaints, manage recalls, educate the public, and enforce consumer protection laws to ensure fair treatment for all. Our team supports consumers by resolving disputes, providing guidance, and helping residents understand their rights and responsibilities. We work with businesses to encourage compliance, ethical practices, and trust, helping create a stable and competitive economy. Through education, enforcement, and outreach, Consumer Affairs helps keep Bermuda's marketplace safe, informed, and accountable.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to the Commissioner of the Bermuda Police Service, Darrin Simons, for stopping by. Folks, again, if you're streaming with us on one of the social media platforms, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Help us beat the algorithms. Very important information shared this morning. You all have been amazing once again. Folks, thanks again to the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, HSBC Bermuda, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 1075 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio areas with these most important community conversations. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, so remember when Reverend Jesse Jackson became the second Black person to seek a major party's nomination in the United States after who? I know somebody got it right. Absolutely. At the bottom. I'm going to give it to you. It was, well, not Grissom, Shirley Chisholm. Yeah, it was Shirley Chisholm. Yep, you got it, Traveling Trotty, WKD Llama. You are correct. 1972. 1972. She was the first person. All right, folks, let's wrap it up. As far as the earlier discussion about getting more Bermudians into the hospitality and tourism sector, I love some of the ideas you all gave earlier about the incentives, industry-specific incentives. I know, like, there were certain, like, organizations who get like insurance discounts and benefits. So I think industry specific benefits could be crucial in attracting Bermudians if they want Bermudians in that space. As far as the discussion with the commissioner of police, he gave us some good information this morning, some gems. Some of us may not want to hear, but there was a lot of man in the mirror kind of moments. A lot for us to look within and find out what it is we're doing to contribute and what it is we can do to help prevent. So I hope, if nothing else, that we understand that police in Bermuda, as the commissioner said, is not just about the men and women in uniform, but about all of Bermuda's residents. All right, folks, here's your daily discussion. I'll say daily discussion, daily inspiration, sorry. And we're going to go with something very short and sweet from the late Reverend Jesse Jackson. It's one of my favorites. Quote, "We must turn to each other and not on each other." End quote. Do with that what you will. Audience, it's been a wonderful time with you today. Do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, HSBC Bermuda Medical House, Lindo's, People's Pharmacy, and big love to Hot 107.5 for ensuring that we can pump through the radio airwaves with these most important community conversations. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.